Hello and welcome back to our Kinetic Platform training videos. My name is Derick Larson, and in this video we're going to be talking about system controls. Now, system controls are those extra nodes or tasks that the system has within itself to help you manage your trees. And we're going to be talking about two, or actually three today: a join, a junction, and then a no-op, my favorite. There are some other system controls mentioned in the accompanying article. Please take a look at those. They're oftentimes very useful within the different trees that you have. So we can see once again that I've updated my basic tree or workflow process to include having a Minneapolis task and a St. Paul task. And what I'd like to do is to add a complete node on here at the end, so that as I'm looking at my run, I can tell when everything is done by seeing that the complete node has fired. And there's two ways to do that. So this is all based upon a rule that we have when building the workflow processes, that you should never bring together two branches. So we have here the Minneapolis and St. Paul branch, unless you're using a join or a junction. So let's take a look at both of those types of system controls. So I'm going to add a join here after my Minneapolis task. So we'll just type in join to look for that node. And let's see, we'll just call it join here, and a regular complete connector is just fine. You can see that it has three different options for it. So the first is all. And so whenever a join node is looking to see if it should complete, if it should continue the process, it's going to look at all of the connectors that are directly attached to it and see if all of them have come and completed. So essentially all of the branches are complete all the way down to the join, and then it will continue on. We also have an option of sum. If you do choose sum, you have to give it some number of connectors that are directly attached. That means that it's going to continue on its way. So oftentimes this is calculated within the system, because it can hopefully change and be variable in making your tree and your form a much more flexible process, but it's not as common to use. And the last one, the one we're going to use, is any. And essentially this is the very first connector that completes down to the join node, is going to mark it complete and be done. So to add this to our tree, we'll click on finish. So here's my join. You can see it's got a different style to it, and I want to join these two branches together. So what I'll do is I'll click and hold on the plus from any other branch that I want to come in and just drag my connector down to it. So now this has two connectors coming into it. I've set it to be an any, so when either one of these is completed and hits it, our branch is going to be complete and it will move down to the next node. So let's take a look at a junction node, which is a cousin to our join here. So we'll click here, type in junction. Yep, that's enough to get a junction. So let's just call it junction and go to next. Now you can see there's no parameters for a junction node. So I'm just going to click on finish so we can add it to the tree here. So a junction, as opposed to a join, looks all the way back up all of the branches that it has connected to it, and it finds the common denominator. In our case, it's going to be the start node. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. So a junction only completes, it only continues its process if the whole branch is as complete as it could be. Now there's two things to take into account for there. So now we know that it's either going to be Minneapolis or St. Paul. So one of these connectors is going to fail. So say the St. Paul connector fails, the junction node is going to look back up this branch. It's going to say, you've done everything you could. Since you failed here, I'm not going to do the email for St. Paul, and I'm not going to do the St. Paul task. So it marks it as complete. And then it's just waiting for the Minneapolis branch to be done. Now this Minneapolis task is a deferred node. So until this node is completed, the task is completed, and then this connector fires, the junction is not going to think that this branch is complete. So once all of these nodes are complete through its branch, then the junction is complete and it hits the one that's on the end. Now in our case, the join makes more sense. We know that it's going to be either Minneapolis or St. Paul, so I'm really just looking for one or the other of these connectors. So here's a quick piece to get rid of nodes on here, I can click delete. When I click delete for this node, it's going to get rid of all of the connectors that came to it and any that went from it. So let's just move this so it looks like it makes a little more sense. And now to the bonus system control here, the no op. Let's type in no. Oops, no, there we go. I oftentimes like to put in a node in my tree that says I'm done. So if I hit this point, I've done as much as I can and my process is complete. It makes it nice when you're looking at runs to see what's going on and if you should expect any more operations. And just like no operation kind of gives away in its name, it doesn't do anything. It's really just there as a label or a placeholder, but it's very valuable for that. So we'll click on finish. And here we can see a little bit off the page. I've got my processes now complete, either or, create my tasks, join them back up, and tell them that I'm done. Well, thanks for sticking through this video. And once again, please take a look at the accompanying article for the other system controls that are detailed there. And I hope to see you in the next video.